Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first LinkedIn Live session of the year. My name is Keith Bacon. I'm a Senior Director on the ScreenConnect team. Been here for, since 2015, I guess. As we kick off 2024, we're getting together to kind of chat about some of the things that we did for the team for both our ScreenConnect and our access management solutions. So we're going to talk about what we did in 23 and also what we're going to be doing in 24. So we have a great webinar this week on the 25th, 11 o'clock Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to be covering that in more detail as well. But I've got a couple folks on the call that are going to help us go over and kind of chat about some of the things that we're going to cover on our webinar this week. So, before we dive into the discussion and talk more about ScreenConnect and ConnectWise Access Management, let's have a little bit of fun here. So here's a couple of questions. Leave your answers in the comments. So maybe where are you based, and what's your favorite way to beat the January blues when it's a little bit colder out during this chilly winter season? I asked that being from Florida, and I feel like that's probably I'm not the best person to be posing that question. But please add your comments into the stream. That would be fantastic. But I have two folks joining me today that can appreciate that a little bit more, as they are in North Carolina. And then we're going to be talking about, again, the ScreenConnect and the access management piece. So I'll say, why don't we kick off with some introductions? And Mr. Sean White, if you could start, that would be great.
Hey, I'm Sean White. I'm Senior Product Manager for ScreenConnect. I've been with ScreenConnect since the initial acquisition of ScreenConnect to ConnectWise back in 2015. I've worked with ScreenConnect since 2011, before we were even V1. Really looking forward to talking to everyone today, reviewing 2023 and looking ahead to 2024. And I can't help but notice, Keith, though you're in Florida, but you're wearing a sweater. So,
I mean, it was like low 60s today, so it's a little bit.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, freezing, definitely.
That's cold.
How about you, Caitlin?
Yep. So I'm Caitlin Barnes. I'm a product manager here with ScreenConnect and Access Management as well. So I've been a member of the ScreenConnect team for about 5.5, almost 6 years. I work on integrations and extensions for ScreenConnect, and then also now the newest offering for the ScreenConnect platform, Access Management. And we're going to be talking about kind of our wins for that in 2023 and what's on the horizon for 2024.
Awesome. Thank you both. So you have both of you kind of experts in your field, know our solutions inside and out. So we're going to be kind of talking about some of those pieces and what we look forward into our larger webinar again this week on Thursday. So this is just a teaser for folks to kind of get some idea of what we're going to be chatting about. So please register for that as well if you want to hear kind of everything that we did and what we have planned for 24. So, but without further ado, Sean, why don't you pick it up, kind of cover some of your piece, and then we'll transition over to Caitlin as well.
Yeah, sure. 2023 was a big year. I think one of the most impactful changes for us as a product team was the renaming of ScreenConnect back to its original name from ConnectWise Control. A lot of brand awareness around ScreenConnect. It's a name that we really think embodies, what we're trying to provide, which is seamless integrations and the ability to connect to your end user screen so that you can be much more efficient in your job. So along those lines, one of the things we always focus on are performance enhancements and making sure that our product is scalable. In 2023, we made some really, really big strides there. We rewrote our Session Expression engine, which really helps the efficiency of back-end queries. So you'll see much more responsive updates on your host page, especially if you're one of those like larger instances. And along those lines as well, just kind of a trivia fact, a few years ago, our largest instances would consist of about maybe 20 to 25,000 endpoints. And as of, the end of 2023 and entering 2024, we now support multiple instances that have over 150,000 endpoints. So, that's 6x growth in, just a matter of a couple of years. And we're not going to stop there. We're always looking for ways to improve partner experience, improve our performance, and make sure that we are literally the best in class for remote support. Some of the things we did this year to make our technicians' lives easier, we've added some kind of simplicity to the product. So adding search, sort, and filter capabilities for things like customizations on the appearance page, as well as within triggers. So, triggers are going to be something that's going to be very important moving forward. So in 2023, we started laying the groundwork to make it easier to work with those. Additionally, the session expression engine stuff that I mentioned, that's kind of a weird word, and I know what it means, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because it's all back end stuff, right? But really what it does is it improves the efficiency of how we're handling data on the back end. And speaking of handling data, we introduced an integration with Splunk this year, so partners who use Splunk can ingest any ScreenConnect data into their Splunk instance. And of course, I can't fail to mention our own ConnectWise SIM. We've integrated with them as well, been integrated with them for years, but some of our larger enterprise customers are using some tools outside of the ConnectWise suite, which is fine because we love to integrate, and Caitlin has done a great job at making sure our integrations are moving along. So a couple of other things that I think are really, really important. We finally released the compatibility with M series Macs. So previously we were basically an x86 application, and now we're fully compatible with the M series chips, which takes away some burden on machine administrators by not having to have Rosetta installed as a requirement to get your ScreenConnect clients working on those machines. So that's something that was very high priority. It took us a little longer than we wanted to because we had to do some pretty major refactoring. But once again, that's available now, and we've had nothing but really good feedback there. Another one that I really want to highlight is the ability to control Android devices. So our talking with partners, talking at IT Nation events, looking at all of our different partner feedback loops, one of the things we know is that portable, bring your own devices, mobile devices are becoming more important, especially as people are working in different environments, working from home, or maybe they're running errands and they need to get some work done while they're doing that on their mobile device. We now have the ability for technicians to fully control any Android device running Android 7 or higher. That's a huge change. Prior to this new feature, we were limited to only controlling Samsung devices, which is a pretty large chunk of the kind of total market of Android devices. But when you start looking at other manufacturers, the ability for us to be able to connect to them is really hugely important. And that's just kind of a few highlights from 2023. We've released a lot of bug fixes, some other enhancements, but that's kind of a high level. And I know what everyone wants to hear is, what are we going to do in 2024? How are we going to perform even better in 2024? And for the full story, as Keith mentioned at the beginning, we want to make sure that you guys register for the full webinar on, you said Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Making sure I had that right. So, we've got a lot of innovation coming up in 2024. We're going to kind of make sure that all of our partners have a seamless experience and really grow with our partners as their businesses grow and thrive and succeed. So more to say on Thursday, but we're really, really excited about sharing what we're going to be doing. And Keith, I'll kick it back to you for right now.
Awesome, Sean. I appreciate that. I mean, when I look back at 23, like personally, like some of the things I was excited about, like Sean covered, like the scalability, the performance, right? If we do some of those things where we can deliver a good partner experience to somebody that has 150,000, 200,000 endpoints, then that helps all of our ScreenConnect partners, right? So that anybody, regardless of the size of their business, the size of their support environment, that hopefully they have a fast, efficient, reliable experience using ScreenConnect daily. So I've loved that. In the Android support, like for those of you, I talk to a lot of partners, and sometimes folks either forget or they question, do you guys support, mobile devices? So we've got that full Android support now, folks. So if you're already using ScreenConnect, you're not leveraging that today, right? Use it. It's fantastic. Really proud of the product team for coming out with that and having those enhancements last year. But not to be undone by what Caitlin Barnes is going to talk about now with what we did with ConnectWise Access Management. So Caitlin, let's hear about that.
Yeah, thank you. So before we dive into 2023 and what we achieved, I always like to start by talking about what access management actually is. Sorry, I have to get my hands out. I'm a hand talker. A lot of people aren't aware that ConnectWise has an access management product or what it actually does. We launched it almost 2 years ago now, and we've seen some excellent growth, and I'm excited to talk about what we've done. So access management is a privileged access management solution that basically removes the need for shared administrative passwords. The example we like to use is a customer has to update QuickBooks every month, and they need an admin password to get through the UAC prompts to do it. So you either are going to give them that admin password, or you're going to wait for them to request elevation every month, and then somebody's going to have to remote in and help them. And neither of those options are really great. So with access management, you're allowed to secure, monitor, and control access across your environment without needing to actually share any of those credentials. End users can request elevation directly from the UAC prompt, and a technician can take action on that request in real time, or even automate those requests so that nobody's waiting to get elevated as they need to in those monthly or even those one-offs. The other really important part about access management is we allow people to create ephemeral users. So a one-time administrative logon user that's a local admin on a machine. So you don't need a password to be an admin on a machine. You can just create this user, do whatever you need to do as a local admin. And then once you're done, you log out of that user and it's discarded, never can be used again. The password's never disclosed. It's a much safer and more secure solution for the daily, weekly, monthly, yearly maintenance that you have to do as a business. So access management as a whole is really important to stop sharing passwords, hopefully start saving time and improve that end user experience. And people are actually using the product. We took a look, and in the last 14 days alone, we've had just shy of 25,000 elevation requests and approvals. So there's a lot of people using the product and finding a lot of value in it. I don't think Keith actually knew that number. I didn't share it with anybody. So now back to what we did in 2023. So in 2023, a big thing for us was integrating with ConnectWise RMM. So now you have the ability to configure and deploy access management directly from RMM policies that already exist. And the nice part about this is now it's endpoint-based billing. So you're not signed up for a specific number of agents every month. If you use access management on 256 endpoints in RMM, we'll bill you for 256. If it's a different number at a different time, depending on contracts, it's really just based on what you're using. And a pay-as-you-play model is always appreciated, I know, by customers. We also integrated with PSA. So we already have a ScreenConnect and PSA integration. We just added access management features to it. So now when somebody opens an elevation request in a UAC prompt, or they're requesting administrative logon and they don't have permission to approve themselves, a ticket gets opened in ConnectWise PSA, and a technician with permissions can actually approve directly from in that ticket. So you're not clicking around to ScreenConnect and seeing where you need to go. It's just right there in the ticket. The action is logged, and then you can actually close out the ticket and move on to something else. So that workflow is really tightened up, and we think that people will like that. The third thing is we actually added a Teams integration, and this impacts ScreenConnect and access management. So we only do session events right now for ScreenConnect, and we're looking to do security events soon. But for access management specifically, now when there's an elevation request pending, you can get a notification in Teams to take action on it. And obviously, we're only talking about manual requests here. We would hope that you'd start to automate, create rules so that you're no longer waiting for someone to make a request, and then you have to make sure to respond to it. But if there are manual situations in any business, then you could go to Teams, get notified, and then have a deep link right back to approve that request that's waiting. The last thing that we did, we did a lot of things in 2023, but the last thing I want to talk about is the Users tab in Remote Diagnostic Toolkit. If you're a ScreenConnect user, you're probably familiar with Remote Diagnostics Toolkit. And the new tab that we added shows all the users on each individual machine. And then from there, you can see which of those users are admins. And then from the tab, you're able to actually remove administrative permissions if they shouldn't have them. The idea here is that, the principal of least privileged people should only have the permissions that they need to do their daily work. And a lot of times we find that people have administrative permissions that maybe you forgot they had or that they shouldn't have anymore. So being able to clean that up directly from the users tab is a big deal. So that's 2023. I feel like we did a lot, and we have a lot planned for 2024. So 3 quick things I'll talk about that I know that are actually most of them coming out relatively soon. Temp admin for logged in user. So right now, when you're in an elevation, like you're in a UAC prompt and you request elevation, and when you're elevated in an artificial temp admin. But now we have the ability to elevate you in the context of the logged in user. And for a lot of applications, it's important that you are the logged in user when elevating so that you can actually take action. And some products, they will provide like a different experience if you're just a temp ephemeral user as opposed to the logged in user. So that's very important when you're elevating. Another thing that we're going to be releasing soon is a reporting dashboard. So a dashboard within the access management tab that will show information about license usage, historical trends, which applications people are requesting elevation for the most, trying to provide more information about how access management is being used. And then hopefully you can create rules, understand how your end user are using it, technicians are using it, and just get more value out of the product and start to see, maybe there's more that you can do. There's more that you can automate. There's more people that you can add to access management and kind of just see, where the product takes you. And the last thing I'll touch on is an improved auditing experience. So we are looking at the way that access management events are audited and how we can improve, the way that looks in reporting, the way that looks in the actual product UI, and just make it a lot easier to understand what happened when and not have to make a lot of correlations and kind of look through the audit log to see what's going on. But that's just the beginning, and we will talk a little bit more about what those things look like in the webinar on Thursday. I do want to do a quick plug for extensions because that is something I also work on. We're always working on new extensions, new integrations. You can always go to our user Echo page and request integrations that you are interested in that maybe you don't see. One I would like to call out is the Smileback integration. So late 2023, we created an integration with Smileback, which is also now a ConnectWise product. It creates the ability for a survey to be served at the end of a support session. So partners have the ability to gauge customer sentiment at the end of an ad hoc session. And that information, whatever the end user submits, it's smiley faces, and then they can provide a longer response if they want, gets collected in Smileback, and you can take action on it. But those are the kind of integrations that we're continuing to pursue in 2024 and just looking to see where we can expand. There you have it, Keith.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Caitlin. Very exciting, particularly around what we've been doing with access management. So for whether you're standalone ScreenConnect partner, right? So you're just using ScreenConnect, that's the only product you have in the ConnectWise suite, right? Or if you are ConnectWise RMM, you're ConnectWise Automate, right? So anything where you've got that ScreenConnect component to it, folks, we have that access management piece so you can take a more secure approach to managing those elevated sessions. So join us on Thursday for the webinar to learn more about that. Certainly reach out to my team as well. We're happy to help with you. But anybody that's using different flavors of ScreenConnect, particularly from our cloud environment, you've got options with access management now. So before we wrap up, looking over if we have any real questions. I think we're probably okay for today.
Actually, Keith, there's Ben is asking about IoT. I'm assuming he means IoT and not iOS, as well as Raspberry Pi support.
There you go. Okay.
So, yeah, we do support Raspberry Pis, but there's some caveats, as there always with these smaller devices. So and this is something that's available today. So it's not like we're going to be working towards supporting Raspberry Pi because we already do. But any Linux machine does require a frame buffer to be installed. And one thing that we have seen is that some of the Raspberry Pi devices don't have a lot of storage space. So installing that frame buffer can be challenging unless you clear up some space. But in general, if you have a frame buffer installed, then on the iOS, or the Raspberry Pi device, then you should be able to connect to it using ScreenConnect.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Any other questions? All right. I think we're good. So, all right. Thank you very much, Sean, Caitlin. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. Reminder, folks, we've got a full webinar on Thursday, so just in 2 days, 11 o'clock Eastern. So please join us for the webinar. But until then, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.